Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev is all but officially announced. How do you feel that Volkanovski will fare? Do you think he has a chance, or do you think he's just going to get mauled?
As a big fan of Volk, I'd like to believe that there's a chance. Like Lloyd Christmas in Dumb and Dumber, you see, you're saying there's a chance to it. But seriously, like when you look at it and the general overlook of this fight in general from fans, what seems to be right now, look at Volk. He's beat Chad Mendes, Jose Aldo, Korean Zombie, Brian Ortega, Max Holloway 3 times. People are called, he's the pound for pound number 1. People are saying, potential featherweight GOAT, and he's still getting wrought off by people against Islam going up. Charles Oliveira, I think people were giving him more of a chance. But this just proves, even with all Volk's accolades, how dominant we perceive Islam is going to be. Because that isn't for sure yet. He's just done a hell of a run, hell of a win streak. And now, obviously, he's the champion. And I'm not so sure. I'm not so confident. I'm a bit of a naysayer. And as a huge fan of Volk, I'm not too sure he'd be able to manage in the deep waters. What do you think?
Yeah, it is a hard one because, like you, I'm a huge fan of Volkanovski. But the problem is Islam's just so big. He's massive. He's big for the lightweight division already. He has a really big weight cut. And, as good as Volk is, I just worry for him. I just don't think he has much of a chance. But one thing I'll give Volk is he's got an excellent team. And, he makes great adjustments, and they're going to have one hell of a game plan. That, he's going to walk in to UFC Perth and he's going to, I'm going to do this and I'm going to neutralize him as much as possible. And I think he'll see a lot of success. But the problem is, can he keep that success up for over 5 rounds? Because don't forget, when Ortega got him, he got him in that guillotine, he was choking on him. I just thought, if Islam does that, that's it. It's over, isn't it? There's no way Volk's popping his head out of that. But, like you said, maybe I'm being a naysayer. Maybe he can do it. And to be honest, I'd love it if he could.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love it as well. The double champ status, and then you get yet another double champ. But like you were saying, how big Islam is. Have you seen his back? He's like Vince McMahon. It's just huge, isn't it? It's ridiculous. And yeah, people talk about that Brian Ortega submission attempts in the 3rd round. Don't forget they were sweaty then as well. So, maybe that assisted him a little bit. And that were like, really Brian Ortega's only sort of glimmer of hope during the whole fight, because he just got pieced up. I don't think that's going to happen with Islam. Volk, I'm not in a disrespectful way, but even when Islam was saying, he's a short guy sort of thing, I think that's going to work against him, because Islam's quite tall. If he just takes him down, it might even smother him and just be too much for him. I could see a finish. I wouldn't see this go in the distance unless Islam surprised us and fancied a stand-up war. Maybe Volk's got a hell of a lot more of a chance. But I don't think that's going to be likely, to be honest with you.
No, I don't see Islam going for a stand-up war, with his combination of 2 punches. It just seems very unlikely. But, he's big and he is strong. And the big problem is, if Volk wants to win, he has to get a knockout or a decision, right? And the problem is, he can barely knock out a featherweight. He's not going to be able to knock out a big, bulky guy like Islam. So he's going to have to go for a decision. So he's going to have to grind through for 5 rounds and try and keep a distance and avoid those takedowns. But the trouble is, he's not tall enough to keep distance. He can't fight from the outside. He's going to have to get on the inside. But the good thing is, because he is shorter, he's got that great sense of, he's got a good center of gravity, and he can sort of move in and out of those takedown defenses a lot easier because he's so short. There's less of him to grab hold of in some ways because, say you take someone like Sean O'Malley or something, they've got these big, long limbs. There's more to grab hold of, whereas Volk can hopefully pull out. But just imagine, Mark, if we're sat there watching UFC Perth and Volk's name gets read out as the winner. I hope Man Down Under plays. There's fireworks going off everywhere. He's holding 2 belts. And then he is officially the GOAT, right? He has marked himself as the greatest featherweight of all time. And it seems unlikely, but I would love it.
But a boy can dream.
Yeah, a boy can dream.
And here's hoping. You never know if situations change. I might even be there live to see it. It'd be a class to be able to get to go see that. But the thing is, like, you'd really hope that it can neutralize the takedown threat and the ground game of Islam. I mean, we're saying this as if, like, you know, Alex is going to be surprised, like, oh, he's going to take me down. I didn't know he were a wrestler. I didn't know he were into that. You know, like, he's done videos this week. You know, we've made shorts of him talking about, you know, it's going to be a very hard job to keep me down. You know, and to be fair, in his other fights with the Brian Ortega thing, like, you know, it wasn't as if Brian had planned that and he worked his way in. Alex slipped and then he jumped on it. You know, like, so it wasn't like a well thought out blueprint master plan sort of thing. But with Islam, you know that he's going to be doing that threat, and I think he could really surprise Volk. Maybe, you know, I'm not a stand up war, but catching him.
Yeah, but that's it. You've made a really good point there. We're talking about Islam as though he's this big giant monster, but don't forget, you know, how well can he fare against Volk in reality? You know, because Volk, he has gone through a lot of 5-round wars. He really knows the game. Like I said before, he's got this fantastic team. You know, maybe we do need to look at Islam and maybe see his flaws there. Can he really go up against an incredibly well-rounded fighter like Volkanovski? Because, you know, it's a big risk defending your first title defense in their home nation against an invading champion from the division below. There's a lot of pressure on that. And can he deal with that pressure? And can he deal with the pressure that Volk's going to bring? Do you think he can do it?
Yeah, I could see Islam coming into Volk's territory, getting booed out of the arena, but walking on with 2 belts. I could see that, to be honest. Like, sadly, I'd love the hometown win. And like you say, you know, you'd have man down under playing, everyone's there drinking piss, loving it. Tai Tuivasa just about had a fit. You know, I'd love to see that. You know, Robert Whittaker's there, you know, after his miraculous win as well. Marvelous stuff, swinging his t-shirt around. I just don't see it happening, to be honest.
No, I don't either. I really don't. And it's such a shame, isn't it? But, you know, it is what it is. I think Islam proved what a true monster he is when he fought Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira had very little for him. And I do worry about him. But you're right, you know, we can keep that dream alive, though, and maybe it can happen. But I do think that's all we've got time for. If you can like, comment, subscribe, it really does help us out.